Hello everybody and welcome to the Yas Marina circuit here in the beautiful Abu Dhabi city, the capital of the United Arab Emirates. It is great to be with you for this third and final weekend of the Formula Trophy 2024 UAE campaign. It is going to be a nail-biting conclusion to the season with two races under the floodlights here in the beautiful Yas Marina circuit, and boy oh boy have we got a bit of a showdown for you with the 19 drivers that are going to be taking to the circuit in fantastic fashion to close their 2024 season and get themselves in the best possible mindset for 2025. Hello everybody, Jake Sanson here with you in the commentary box during the 13th Lenovo Golf 12 Hours race weekend. But on the support bill, we have Formula Trophy in F4 cars in the United Arab Emirates. Now, the previous two race weekends saw 3 races on the Dubai Autodrome and 2 races on the weekend of the season finale of the Formula One World Championship. So we've got a little bit of time to talk you through the story so far, as it were. And it has been a bit of a complex story so far. In Dubai, on the 30th of November and the 1st of December, we had 3 different races with 3 different race winners. Rashid Al Daheri of the United Arab Emirates, Kabir Anurag of Singapore, and Gustaf Jonsson of Sweden. Not only did they all 3 take race victories, but all for 3 different teams. Rashid Al Daheri for Mumbai Falcons, Kabir Anurag for Excel, and Gustaf Jonsson for Pinnacle. The rookie winners, by the way, in those races were Chi Zhenru of China, Salim Hanna of Colombia, and Great Britain's Chase Fernandez. At Yas Marina, during the Grand Prix weekend, we had 2 different winners again, only this time it was the Indian Kai Dadianani, and for the second time, Rashid Al Daheri. Now, coming into this third weekend, and the 6th and 7th races of the campaign, Rashid Al Daheri has had to pull out. He never intended to do the third and final weekend. It was just extra training going into the off-season for him, so he is now no longer participating. So it's an all Mumbai Falcons Racing Limited front row of the grid, which is Sebastian Weldon and Chi Zhenru, the rookie driver who's been having a fantastic run, including a race win overall. So it'll be fascinating to see how he ends the season, currently ranked 8th in the standings with 28 points. But he has a pole position for race 2. Sebastian Weldon, the American, making his debut in the category, and certainly outside of the United States at least, is going to be racing from pole position on his first ever outing outside of America. And considering the fantastic lineage of Sebastian Weldon, who is the son of the late great Indy 500 hero Dan Weldon, my goodness me, have we got a legacy in the making. Kai Dadianani, the man who stands as favourite to become the Drivers' Champion in Formula Trophy UAE, although he is not the only one in contention to do so. Rashid Al Daheri does technically have the championship lead. 96 points is his current score. Kai Dadianani is a full 27 points behind that with 69. So there is a slim chance that Rashid Al Daheri could still become the champion of this particular campaign. However, there are 2 races to go, and there are 50 points available with a 27-point lead for Rashid Al Daheri. So if Kai Dadianani were to get a podium in both races, then he would overtake the score set by Rashid Al Daheri, no matter which podium positions he finished in. So it's still very much an open season battle. But interestingly enough, Gustaf Jonsson is only 3 points behind Kai Dadianani. So that is still very much up for grabs as well. The championship fight is no longer between 2 men. It is between 3, because Dadianani and Jonsson have an opportunity to both take the championship off Rashid Al Daheri. 4th in the standings is Kabir Anurag, 49 points on the board. James Pazik, the Australian, has 48. Renaud Franco, who got a 2nd and a 3rd last time out at Yas Marina on the Formula One weekend, has 33 now, and Nicolas Stati has 32, ahead of Chi Zhenru, Salim Hanna, and Chase Fernandez, in that order. Ironically enough, they are also the 3 first rookie winners of this 2024 campaign. So we've spotted Kai Dadianani in 3rd. We've spotted Salim Hanna in 4th place. What about this man, though? Adam Al-Azadi, very much picking up the baton that his older brother Keanu left when he raced in the Yas Heat Racing Academy colours at the start of this season in the F4 UAE Championship. And he's now going to be going off 5th position off the starting grid. Kabir Anurag in 6th place. August Raber is going to be 7th place in his Yas Heat Racing colours. And then Cole Hewitson, Gustaf Jonsson, and Alexander Berg will run the remainder of the top 10 out. But there are some big opportunities for drivers further back in the pack. Nicolas Stati of the AGI Sport Team lining up 11th alongside Aryaman Bansal. Then the Singaporean Nordis Gafour, who we're rather hoping is not going to be competing in his final ever race weekend, although he hinted to me that there was a genuine possibility that that could be the case. Rather hoping that someone as talented and as brilliant behind the wheel as Nordis, who I believe this weekend is being supported by his twin sister Natasha, is not going to be sitting in a racing car for the last time. 14th on the grid, the British driver Chase Fernandez, really starting to make waves now in F4. Then it is Fu Yuhao, the Chinese driver, alongside the lady driver Emily Cotti. And then we have Wang Yuche, Jia Zhanbin, and Andy Law finishing up the field. He managed to get a qualifying time in the end of 2-minute flat, 0.074, as we keep an eye on the contenders getting ready off the grid. Certainly the local favourites here will be wanting Adam Al-Azadi to put in as good a performance as his brother Keanu did in the early part of this season. 11 months ago when he was competing for the F4 title in a very serious battle all through the season with the British driver Freddie Slater. Keanu Al-Azadi only missing out on that championship by a couple of points. There is the South African, Cole Hewitson, looking good for a decent run of points for the XL Motorsport team. He is the second on the grid of the XL drivers in the top 10. The leader, of course, is that of the Singaporean Kabir Anurag that we saw just a short while before. We also just caught a glimpse there a few seconds momentarily of August Raber, who is part of the Yas Heat Racing Academy. And then finishing off the grid in the top 10, as we mentioned, Gustav Jonsson. He'll be very disappointed to be as low down as 9th position, and that definitely doesn't give him as many aces up the sleeve as it does for Kai Dadianani lining up in 3rd place. The Evans driver has a really good chance to make progress from there, whereas Gustav Jonsson is going to be scratching his head in frustration by the time they get through turn 1 if he can't make so much as a sniff of the first corner. But there is Gustav Jonsson for the Pinnacle Motorsport team. You'll note that he carries the Van Amersfoort Racing decal on his racing helmet. That's because that's who he races for in Europe, not the same teams that race in Europe as do in the Middle East, of course. And that's the new website, by the way, to keep an eye on, FormulaMideast.com. It's a brand new website for the rebranded F4 Championship that's going to be kicking off next month on the Kuwait Motortown race circuit in January. Really looking forward to the start of that season, and it's going to be a very competitive one, let me tell you. Haven't got all the runners and riders yet, but from who I've been told is going to be racing in 2025, we're in for just as exciting a battle. There is one withdrawal from the competition, and that is Seth Gilmore for Evans GP. Sadly, he's not going to be taking part in either of the 2 races tonight. So we'll just have to hope that in the future he gets another opportunity. So 25 minutes on the gantry, plus the additional lap that follows the 25 minutes. And when the lights go out and go to green, they will go around for their initial formation lap to warm up the tyres and the brakes, and then we will go into race trim. So there is the starting grid. Let's go through it. Sebastian Weldon for the Mumbai Falcons team, alongside his teammate Chi Zhenru, who actually races under an Italian license. Third on the grid, Kai Dadianani. He races under a British one, despite being Indian. Salim Hanna for the Mumbai Falcons, the Colombian, who is coached and tutelaged by the 2-time Indy 500 winner, Juan Pablo Montoya. Lining up on the 5th position of the grid is Adam Al-Azadi, the United Arab Emirates racer for the Yas Heat Racing Academy. So he'll be there on the 3rd row of the grid, alongside Kabir Anurag, the Singaporean for XL Motorsport. 7th on the starting grid, August Raber of the Yas Heat Racing Academy, also based here in the United Arab Emirates, alongside the South African Cole Hewitson for XL Motorsport. 9th on the grid, as we've already mentioned, is Gustav Jonsson, the Swedish driver for Pinnacle Motorsport, alongside the Canadian Alexander Berg of the Evans GP team. 11th on the grid, Nicholas Starty of Australia for AGI Sport, and then Adiman Bansal, the Indian driver for XL Motorsport. 13th on the starting grid for the Singaporean Nordis Gafour, also for AGI. Chase Fernandez, the great British driver on XL Motorsport's bill. Then Fu Yuhao for XGP. Emily Cotti, the British driver for AGI Sport. 17th on the grid is Wang Yuche for Pinnacle. Then Jia Zhanbin of the Champ Motorsport team. And 19th on the grid for Hong Kong, Andy Law for Champ. So all 19 cars are there in position. The mechanics have now been told to clear the grid, so they will obviously now get themselves into positions in their respective garages, and at the signal they will go around for the formation lap, which indeed they do now. So now it's up to the drivers to warm up the tyres and the brakes to get them into the best possible temperatures and positions to maneuver their way around the course. So it's going to be a fascinating challenge for them all as they warm themselves up into position as always. Now, this will be a fascinating opportunity for Kai Darianani. He's the one in particular that's got the most to lose here. Technically still second in the championship, although with the absence of Rashid Al-Daheri, he is actually technically leading the championship. And then it is going to be an interesting challenge for all of the contenders as they run in position. So they will run in close proximity for the contenders as they get themselves ready for the start. Third position on the grid then for Kai Darianani, and ninth position on the grid for Gustav Jonsson. And that's the two main championship protagonists as they venture their way forward into the upcoming laps. It'll be an interesting run for them all as they get themselves into position. So it'll be a very tricky race from the start, that is for sure. Now, for those who are big fans of Formula One and the Yas Marina circuit, we should point out that the main Formula One straight is not where they are starting from. They're actually starting the race from the support paddock. So the very fast second sector corner that sweeps around to the left that replaced a very tight inner chicane section at the end of the back straight is actually turn one for this pair of races because the Grand Prix paddock is being taken up by the Lenovo Golf 12 Hours. So that is what's taking place there. Meanwhile, though, we are obviously running from the support paddock. And I have to say, the flow of this race circuit is really, really nice as a driver. I was talking to a lot of the competitors during the F4 UAE Championship last year, and they were saying, although the circuit doesn't actually feel any different when you start from one pit lane or the other, the ebb and flow of starting from this side of the circuit can actually be quite nice. And it can actually be easier to get into a rhythm on this part of the circuit off the start than from the Formula One pit lane, just because the change of camber in the first part of the lap is less. So it's a little bit less hard work to get the tyres and the brakes up to temperature, even though the circuit configuration is the same. Where you start the race from does actually have a bit of a bearing on the way that certain drivers find it easier or harder to warm up their tyres. You wouldn't think that makes a big difference, but apparently it does. So the contenders gearing themselves up, ready for the show. Thank you all very much for tuning in and watching, and it's a very good point that's made by Wesman. Seb Weldon's dad would be so proud of him. We know that Dan is looking down as his youngster gets on pole position on his debut outside of the United States. This is going to be such an opportunity for Sebastian Weldon. Can he take a victory on his debut in the UAE? The green flag flies at the back of the grid. We watch for Weldon, Genru, and Kai Darianani in the top three. The lights come on. When they go out, we're underway. Let's race at Yas Marina. And Weldon's not got the best of starts. It looks like Genru is going to get alongside him and possibly beat him to the first corner. They're going to run side by side. Kai Darianani is going to try and find a way through on the inside of at least one of them. But Genru has got him around the outside. Weldon is going to try and stay confident and hungry. He slots back into second position. Not a bad start in the end for Weldon. He hasn't lost it all. Certainly with a chance to get back on terms with his teammate as a few of the drivers run wide on the exit of that long flowing left-hander. But it is Genru who has got himself into the lead of the race on the early doors. So an excellent start from his point of view, and certainly where he would like to be moving forward. He can be very confident with the way things have progressed. It's a very positive start for him at the moment. Third position for Kai Darianani. He's slotted himself into the mix there nicely. And there's a few movers and shakers. Where is Gustav Jonsson at the moment? Trying to see where he's filtered him through. Well, that is Adam Al-Azadi trying to cut his teeth with a few of the drivers around him. He finds himself having lost a bit of time, though, so it's not been the perfect start. Now he's going to try and make up for it, though, with a deep dive into the first corner. Apex, he's not quite there because he's got to defend from Nicholas Starty. Runs a little bit wide, but catches it on the exit, so no big hassles there for Adam Al-Azadi. Works well to try and get himself back as they run on down the hill. So it's Genru that leads the way from Sebastian Weldon. Then in third position it is Kai Darianani with Salim Hanna still looking for an opportunity, having lost ground initially there to the man in behind. I think that's August Raber that has made a reasonably strong start in the mix there as well. But as As they work their way down the straight, there's going to be a lot more coming. They work their way faster down the back straight, and we're going to see a little bit of a side-by-side run. Kai Dadianani's going to have to go defensive here. He's got a lot of opposition. As around the far side, that is going to be Kabir Anurag, trying to work his way forward in the BWT colours. And oh, there's a big charge forward on Adam Al-Azhari. I think that was Cole Hewitson trying to assert himself there at the minute. No, it's the Pinnacle. It's Gustav Jonsson. So Gustav Jonsson working very hard to work his way forward and has certainly made a big move of it. As round the outside comes Kabir Anurag to take on Kai Darianani. Can he finish off the move? No, very smart indeed there from Kai Darianani, who holds off the Alpine Junior. Looks very comfortable indeed. So Kabir Anurag is going to have to come back at Kai Darianani once again. Oh, beautiful defensive tactics from Darianani. Not a lot Anurag can do, and the door is almost left wide open there. In fact, it still is practically wide open for Salim Hanna. He can't quite put his nose far enough alongside Anurag to really go for the move. As meanwhile behind them, that looks like Gustav Jonsson has worked his way up from 9th position to P6. So excellent work so far then, as the contenders still make solid progress. But it is a really solid start to the race, and we can be only hopeful that this is just going to continue. So definitely so far so good as far as the racing has continued in fast progress, but it's looking really strong at the moment. So let's see how it all manages to continue. Everyone is hoping that we just get more and more of the same close race proximity battles. Unfortunately, my timing screen has had a little bit of a hiccup, so we're not able to get too much information, but you can see it on your screens. Chi Zhenru still leading the way from Sebastian Weldon. Then it's Dadianani in front of Anurag. Salim Hanna ahead of Gustav Jonsson. Nicolas Starty trying to get away from August Reber. Then Adam Al-Azhari battling with Alexander Berg. Good defensive lines there from Salim Hanna, who's now got ahead of Kai Dadianani by the look of it. I think he may have actually made the move on Sebastian Weldon. Oh, a bit of a run wide from one of the XLs. I think that might be Chase Fernandez. So Chase Fernandez just having to overshoot there, unfortunately. And that is really going to compromise his run off the turn. He's going to have to concede positions as well. And on that part of the course, you concede one position, you're going to concede 3 or 4 more without even trying. So now we've got to move up the inside from one of the Evans cars. That has got to be the 7 of Berg. So Berg is going to work his way forward and get the line there on the inside. Nicely handled. Good maneuvering once again. So it's all looking pretty neat and tidy at the moment. But certainly we are in a very solid position with everything as we continue to move forward. But this is going to be really close. Still they come again. Chi Zhenru holding on in front of, well, we believe it's still Weldon. Dadianani and Kabir Anurag still up there in the sharp end. Salim Hanna and Gustav Jonsson. Well, there is the battle further back. So we can see there that it is Chi Zhenru still in front of Weldon. No major changes. And everybody has kept it on the straight and narrow. No hanky-panky for the moment, which is exactly what we were hoping for from this first race. But everybody has kept it very close together. Still, they run through. Dropping down the hill. So what does this do in terms of the championship? Well, Kai Darianani is looking at 15 points, running in 3rd place. That's going to bump him up to 84, just 12 behind Rashid Al-Daheri, who is obviously no longer racing in this championship. And then Gustav Jonsson is looking good for 7th. That's going to put him on 6, and that will give him 72 points, which, barring a miracle, sadly means he'll be out of the championship contention. So Gustav Jonsson has got to charge. He really needs to make an impact here. But drivers like Kabir Anurag and Sebastian Weldon really put a thorn in the side for Gustav Jonsson, because these drivers, while they're making their debut in Sebastian Weldon's case and doing such a fine job, are actually taking opportunity away from Gustav Jonsson. Not that that's their problem. Sebastian Weldon hustling Chi Zhenru, his teammate. So far, so good. And Weldon does look pretty hungry there in 2nd place. There's plenty of opportunities to go for this, but he doesn't want to rush into it. There is Gustav Jonsson trying to shake off August Reber. There's Adam Al-Azhari. I very nearly said Keanu, decided not to. And he's got Cole Hewitson right in there for company. So Adam Al-Azhari, younger brother. Both boys living, of course, on the Palm Jumeirah. Not too far from here, of course. It only takes about an hour and a half to get there from this circuit. Look at Sebastian Weldon really starting to eat into the uncomfortable spaces behind Qi Zhenru's car, and he senses it. The Chinese driver's starting to move around a lot in the braking zones. He doesn't want Sebastian Weldon to get an easy victory off him, but he may not have a choice in the affair. 18 minutes left. And I have to say, what a perfectly clean green race we're having at the moment in the Formula Trophy UAE. Of course, now I've said it, it'll probably be jinxed, but hopefully everybody's going to be okay. We can run our way to the conclusion. But everybody is looking very confirmed and happy with things at the moment. Certainly no major dramas or catastrophes to report, and everybody is keeping themselves on the straight and narrow. So Qi Zhenru now having to battle. Here comes Sebastian Weldon. And he's going to make a big dive to the inside line, just like Dan would have done. Oh boy, would he be proud. Muscles his way in on the inside, has to bail out of it, but can he come back on the switch? He's going to be left just enough space to maneuver, but Qi Zhenru doesn't want to give him anything he doesn't have to. Weldon's back on the inside, and crucially, he's a nose and a half in front, and Sebastian Weldon is going to retake the lead. That is proper Lionheart stuff from Sebastian Weldon. And now look at what that's done to the race, because now Kabir Anurag fancies his chances around the outside of Kai Dadianani, and they've both closed up on the leading duo up front. Brilliant stuff. This is amazing racing between the top four, and they are giving us a season conclusion to be proud of. So, of course, Sebastian Weldon running in the Gainbridge colours, made famous by the Andretti IndyCar team. Second position, now Qi Zhenru, and look at him, now that he's been released, he is the cork out of the bottle. He is charging away from Qi Zhenru, he's trying to build a gap, and you can see already that there's a little bit of daylight between the American and his teammate. So this is exactly what Sebastian Weldon was hoping for, but he didn't need two invitations, did he? He knew he only had one shot. Right, we've got a great battle. That's Gustav Jonsson about to lose ground to Adam Al-Azadi. Great work from Adam Al-Azadi. He may have had a difficult start to the race, but I tell you what, he's definitely had done his homework. He has learned from the mistake, and he has charged ahead of the championship contender. Brilliant. Now it's going to be all to do for Cole Hewitson. He's seen Adam Al-Azadi make the move on Jonsson. He could have made the dive there on the inside, but I think it would have been a little bit risky. It could have been a very tight apex radius turning in on him on the way through the left-hander. Now down the back straight though, so he's got slipstream on his side. Meanwhile, Qi Zhenru's under pressure. Here comes Kai Dadianani, who wants to be champion, and he's going to put him under massive scrutiny down into the braking zone. Can he go the long way round? Zhenru is going to make that a very tight radius, but he's going to be slower off the turn. He's going to run wide, and both Dadianani and Anurag are going to be quicker by the time they get there. But Anurag might just have enough speed to draw level with Kai Dadianani as they cross the line. Weldon's long gone. Then it's Qi Zhenru, Kai Dadianani, and Kabir Anurag close together for second. They're going to be nearly three wide as they hit the braking zone. Anurag's going to lock up and turn in. Dive back for the inside of Kai Dadianani. Brilliant from Anurag. And now Dadianani has to run wide in avoidance. Oh, magnificent from Kabir Anurag, who just chops across on Kai Dadianani to finish the move. Lovely from the Singaporean. For those who didn't know why the Alpine program chose Kabir Anurag, you know now. Excellent stuff. Now it's Salim Hanna, right up in behind Kai Dadianani. He fancies a move for fourth place. Right, well, if those two can get past him, it's my turn. And we know that Salim Hanna will be making some pretty decisive maneuvers. You don't get coached by Juan Pablo Montoya without becoming a fairly aggressive tactician. So this will be an interesting one for Salim Hanna. Let's see what he can do up against Kai Dadianani. What a race this is turning into. And a really exciting combination of moves from the drivers out there. So let's see what will happen next. Weldon leads the way. Then it is Qi Zhenru. Then it is Kabir Anurag. Then it is Kai Dadianani. But this is a real headache for both Dadianani and Jonsson. In fact, Jonsson, sadly, is now down to 10th position. So that will pretty much spell the end of his championship attack. If Gustav Jonsson falls down to 10th position and stays there, which of course he's already done the first bit. If he then stays there in 10th, he will not be champion because he cannot overhaul the score of Rashid Al Dhaheri. Never mind Kai Dadianani. So Gustav Jonsson, who is currently exactly 30 points back from Rashid Al Dhaheri, if he only scores one, the best he can be in this championship fight is second. And that will only happen if he scores a lot more points than Kai Dadianani in the second race. But Kai Dadianani is currently looking at 12. That's going to put him on 81, and that'll be 15 behind Rashid Al Dhaheri. So a podium finish will not quite be enough. He needs first or second from the second race to be champion. So it will be a nail-biter. Rashid Al Dhaheri, wherever he is in the world right now, I think he might be back in Europe preparing for his campaign next year. But wherever he is, he's probably sitting thinking, hang on a minute, I thought I was out of the championship. I thought I wasn't going to win this. And by the process of elimination for Kai Dadianani and Gustav Jonsson, he may be champion anyway. So as we go on to the main Grand Prix straight, look at the advantage Sebastian Weldon has built up. So many fans on both sides of the Atlantic will be so delighted at this. Absolutely sensational. Sebastian Weldon, of course, whose father was British, but Sebastian has spent his whole life in the United States, born there, raised there, and races under an American license, of course. But what an opportunity for Seb Weldon, just disappearing in front of Chi Zhenru. So they continue on around the hairpin and onto the back straight once again that leads onto the final chicane. And there it is, the number 98 in the Gainsbridge livery, Sebastian Weldon, looking dominant. He's still got 11.5 minutes to maintain this, but Kabir Anurag fancies second position. He feels, well, hang on a minute, I know I can't be champion. I haven't quite built up the points tally for that, but what I could do is I could get into second position at the very least. Now, interestingly enough, Kabir Anurag mathematically came into this race knowing he could just about do it, but he needed a perfect weekend of 2 victories and no score from the other drivers around him. Is this actually going to work? Oh, bravery from both drivers there, as Salim Hanna really had to work hard there to shake off the attentions of the AGI Sport. Well, that was incredibly tough stuff from Nicola Stati, who has made a massive amount of progress in this race. Let's not underrate it, because Nicola Stati started 11th in this race and is now up in P6 ahead of August Raber and Adam Al-Azadi, the Yazheat twins. What an astonishing drive from Nicola Stati. I don't want anybody to forget that one. But from 11th to 6th, that's massive progress made. Weldon into turn 1 before they even reach the braking zone now. Chi Zhenru, Kabir Anurag, and then Kai Dadianani in front of Hanna, Stati, Raber, Al-Azadi, and then we've got Hewitson in front of Gustav Jonsson. This is not going well at all for the Super Swede, and he's already under some pressure to lose out to the Indian driver for XL, Ariman Bansal. So Chase Fernandez currently in 12th position. Not had the best of weekends so far in terms of setup, but he hasn't had a lot of preparation time either. Then you've got Berg in front of Norris Gafour. And then we've got Fu Yu Hao in front of Huang Yu Che. And then Emily Cotti has had a bit of a difficult race so far. 18th position for Jiajin Bin. And then it is Andy Law, the Hong Kong driver, in 19th place. A man who has had several good days at the office on the karting circuit at Macau, which I was literally at last week for the Macau International Kart Grand Prix. That's the other Macau Grand Prix, as we call it. Up the inside, nice little move there from Norris Gafour to make the overtaking move there. Up on the inside of the Canadian Alexander Berg, who is now bouncing back. This is going to be a great drag race to the braking zone now between Gafour and Berg. They bang wheels as they go for it. Gafour desperately trying to stop Berg coming through. Now he's got to go the long way round. Or is he going to be a master tactician? He's going to go slow in and fast out, but Berg is wise to it. Nice try, Norris, but I saw that one coming a mile off. Good work from both drivers, good commitment. But Alexander Berg is the one who gets there. Bit of a lock-up from Norris Gafour. Now, I wonder, I haven't had the opportunity to ask the family yet, but I wonder if Alexander Berg is any relation to Alan Berg, the one-time Grand Prix driver who was also a Canadian, of course. So I'll answer that question for you in the interim between the two races, I'm sure. Weldon, Genru, Anurag, Dadianani, Hanna, Stati, Raber and Alazari. Very tight run between them at the moment. Unless your name is Sebastian Weldon. You're looking down the hill, then you're looking in your mirrors and you can't even see a microscopic dot in the distance. Maybe a flash of red in some apexes, but not big enough to be a threat. So down the hill we can see that is Adiman Bansal pressuring Gustav Jonsson in the pinnacle. This is not what Gustav Jonsson needed at all. Off the hairpin, down the straight. And I'm afraid, despite his best efforts, Gustav Jonsson is about to fall out of mathematical contention to be champion, in which case, I'm trying to do the math here on Anurag's chances, because Kabe Anurag is set to score 15 points. That would put him on to 64, and then a victory would obviously then give him 25. No, he would just miss out on the championship. So Anurag could really do with getting ahead of Genru at the very minimal to pick up 18 points, and that would then put him up to 67. Even then, that wouldn't give him enough to be champion. He would need 2 wins in order to do it, with the other drivers not scoring. So Kabe Anurag's chances of becoming champion are looking as slim as Gustav Jonsson's, albeit he's going to score a higher finishing position. So Rashid Al-Daheri, whether he's sat at home or sat in the garage of the racetrack testing somewhere, is probably very surprised that he's actually got a chance to win this championship after all. Under the W Hotel. Getting back on the gas. This is a much faster, much more fluid section of the circuit now that they've reprofiled it, which they did, of course, in the 2021 season. But really exciting stuff so far. And I am being told that Alan Berg is indeed Alexander's father. So there you go. I suspected as much, and fortunately my instincts were right on the money for a change. Doesn't always work out that way, trust me. So through they go, up the hill, as again Adiman Bansal puts pressure on Gustav Jonsson, and again Kabe Anurag is all over Chi Genru. So let's see if they continue to charge forward down the straight. This long straight that goes on and on forever. You get such a slipstream effect down this place, partly because of the cool temperatures at night as well. It all helps. It all makes a big play. So Kabir Anurag, not quite close enough though to slam dunk up the inside of Chi Genru. He's got to hope for a little bit more. Meanwhile, Genru took a lot of curb there on the inside radius. The car bounced a lot more than was necessary. That can upset the momentum and the flow. But again, Kabir Anurag just wasn't quite close enough to take advantage of that. So still, they continue. Right, we are told that there was a jump start penalty that's been handed out, and it's to Nicholas Stati. Oh, well, I did say he'd made a fantastic start. Unfortunately, he was a little too fantastic. In fact, if anything, it was clearly bombastic. There's the confirmation. Nicholas Stati, 10-second penalty for a jump start. What a shame. Up to P6. But unfortunately, now we know why, as there is the battle continuing on. That is UG having a great race here, with Fuyu Hao and Emily Cotti all having a very tough midfield race of it. Trouble is here, you've got to have full confidence in your tyres in order to work his way further forward. So underneath the W Hotel they go again. A lot of chatter on the live stream about the upcoming F4 Middle East season, which has of course been rebranded. Yes, it's looking really exciting. 4 different race circuits from what we are told in next year's calendar schedule. And that's going to see us go to Kuwait Motor Town for the first 2 rounds within the same week. And then we will head to Dubai Autodrome and Yas Marina as normal. And the 4th round of the championship is a to be confirmed, although there's a lot of rumour circulating that it could be at Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. I think we're still awaiting official confirmation of that. So there is Sebastian Weldon in the Gainsbridge colours, running under Mumbai Falcons Racing Limited entry, although officially being co-run by Prema. What an opportunity. Oh, big lock-up on the inside for Nicholas Stati. He's feeling the pressure now, you see. The team will have told him about the jump start penalty, so he's got to make something of it. As Salim Hanna is trying to shake him off his guard. 3 minutes and 22 still to go. Salim Hanna blocking, 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 blocking. No way does he have to worry too much about that one. Starty's going to try and commit round the outside, but that's exactly what Salim Hanna set him up for. He can hold the middle of the road in the apex, and there's nothing Starty can do to get through there in the left-hander. At this level in F4, it's all about tactical games of chess, looking after the tyres and keeping it fairly nicely run. Westman making a very good point about Sebastian Weldon's race start. It wasn't exactly the best start that he's ever made in his career, and he dropped to second position off the start. But as Westman rightly points out, in America, they don't do standing starts for F4, they're rolling starts. So that was the first time, not only the first time that Sebastian Weldon had started on pole position outside of his native land, it was also the first standing start he'd ever done in F4. So very impressive indeed that Sebastian Weldon didn't lose any more ground than that, didn't lose any further ground. So excellent performance from him so far, and it could be rounded off by his maiden win outside America. Certainly looking very good. So down the drop into the hairpin once again. This is going to be very tricky to sort out between Salim Hanna, Nicholas Starty, and even August Raber now. So August Raber has an opportunity. There he is in 7th place for the Yazid Academy. We've got a trio for 2nd and a trio for 5th, and they're both led by a Prema entered by Mumbai Falcons Racing. Down to the braking zone. Kabir Anurag fancied his chances there, but it's not going to be on this occasion. Meanwhile, Adam Al-Azadi is trying to shake off Cole Hewitson. What's happened to Gustav Jonsson? Gustav Jonsson's dropped out of the race, and therefore out of the championship. So Gustav Jonsson finds himself all the way down in 18th, and I'm afraid the Swede is out of contention for Formula Trophy UAE 2024. There he is, and he's got a puncture. That'll be the reason why then. Oh dear, it's all gone horribly wrong for the Pinnacle. As Gustav Jonsson, well that's at, goodness me, that's at the hairpin at the beginning of the lap. Well, that's the hairpin at the beginning of the Grand Prix lap, of course. So he can limp it back to the pits, but there's absolutely no chance now of Gustav Jonsson securing any points. So bitterly disappointing indeed for the Swede, and he'll have to make do with what is likely to be a top 3 in the Drivers' Championship, unless Kabir Anurag has another brilliant race like this one in the later encounter 3 hours from now. So it's certainly going well indeed for Sebastian Weldon in the last 30 seconds of timed racing. But Kabir Anurag still has pressure from the man he overtook a while ago. Kai Dadianani fancies coming back for more. He'll have had to spend a couple of laps getting himself dialed back in again. But he looks like he's looked after his tyres a little bit better than Kabir Anurag. And he's going to make that big dive on the inside. He's going to make the Max Verstappen lunge. And he's done it. Beautifully done by Kai Dadianani. And he's got the presence of mind to chop across on Kabir Anurag. Supreme from Kai Dadianani. He clearly saw that happen 3 years ago in Formula One and said, I fancy a piece of that. But Anurag is far enough alongside that if he pulls any further across, they're going to bang wheels. Anurag is a wheel in front. But the inside apex is Dadianani's. He's got to leave space. Anurag overshoots. But when he comes back, he's got to concede the position, surely. Great racecraft. But I think Kabir Anurag's got to give that back. So as they come across the line, the last lap begins for Sebastian Weldon in front of Chi Zhenru. Kabir Anurag finds himself in 3rd in front of Kai Dadianani. But there's going to be a debate. And Kai Dadianani will feel that he's got the right to claim his 3rd position back. Kabir Anurag will feel that he's got the claim to 3rd position. There's going to be 2 sides to this story, and both are going to feel that they've done enough for 3rd position. Well, Kabir Anurag certainly appears to be allowing Kai Dadianani to get closer to him. Whether this is his attempt to move over and let him through again remains to be seen. I wonder if his attitude is going to be better to beg forgiveness than ask permission. Meanwhile, though, Sebastian Weldon is out on his own, almost half the length of the Grand Prix straight in front of Chi Zhenru. What an emotional drive this will be for so many people. Kai Daryanani has one final crack at the whip here on Kabir Anurag, but he doesn't want to beat him in the steward's office. He wants to beat him on the racetrack, so he'll have another go. So let's see if Kai Daryanani does have that move up his sleeve again. He's thinking about it. He's swarming around all over the back of Kabir Anurag, leaves his braking very late. Can he set him up for one final go in the chicane? We'll have to find out. We may find that out when Sebastian Weldon's crossing the finish line as Kabir Anurag swarms around. But on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean, back in the UK and back in the United States, there's a lot of very welled-up, emotional people here, as on his debut outside of the USA, Sebastian Weldon is going to win on his F4 international debut. He's come off the final turn along the home stretch, and Sebastian Weldon wins on his debut at Yas Marina. Second for Chi Zhenru. The two banging wheels at the final chicane have concluded with Kai Daryanani ahead of Kabir Anurag. So surely justice has been seen to be done, although that will be debated afterwards. But there are some great runs to the flag, multiple runs to the flag. I think these results could well be provisional. But in the United States of America and in Great Britain, there are some very happy campers. Sebastian Weldon, pole position on his debut, race win on his debut. Magic. And that was a drive of a lion heart. I can recall meeting Sebastian Weldon when he was a wee nip of a lad many, many years ago. And even then, he was stating, I'm going to race just like Daddy. Boy, did you race just like Daddy. Oh, Dad would be so proud. He really, really would. What a way to kickstart your international career. It's one thing to build a reputation for yourself in the United States, but when you leave and you take on the international brigade, as an American, for some reason, you've got to make a big stink or you'll get lost in the wind. There's no getting lost in the wind for Sebastian Weldon. Everyone knows about him now. And if we've still got a little bit of time to wait for an American to really establish themselves as a world beater in Formula One, you couldn't really do much wrong than to regard Sebastian Weldon as that potential talent. What a sensational display. Great victory for Sebastian Weldon. Chi Zhenru, a very calm and collected second position. I think we've got a little bit of debate as to who's in third. Kai Daryanani and Kabir Anurag will both potentially have penalties coming, because they could both have judged to have gained an advantage by cutting the chicane. One on 2 occasions, the other on only 1. But if it is definitely going to go against them, then we could have a completely different driver ending up on the podium. But what a very, very pleasing start to the season finale. But if Kai Daryanani does get a penalty, of course, that really hampers his chances of taking the championship away from Rashid Al-Aheri. But that is a subplot for the moment. There are some really emotional scenes here in the UAE, back in Blighty, and back out stateside. Sebastian Weldon came to Yas Marina with one objective: do my best. Boy, was his best sensational. For the moment, Kai Daryanani parks his car in third. Kabir Anurag will be irritated. This man won't be. What a result. Sebastian Weldon, welcome to the winner's circle. It will be the first of many. That is a joyous, joyous result for so many reasons, for so many people. The legacy continues. Wonderful scenes down here in the Yas Marina pits. And a very deserving winner in Sebastian Weldon. Kai Daryanani on the scales, desperately driving to keep his hopes of taking this championship title away from Rashid Al-Aheri. Third position, temporary for the moment. It is provisional. We'll give you full confirmation when we get the chance to update you. For the moment, though, there it is. Sebastian Weldon, 5 seconds clear of Chi Zhenru, dominant. Kai Daryanani, third from Kabir Anurag. Selim Hanna, Nicholas Stati, August Raber, Adam Al-Azadi, Cole Hewitson and Ariman Bansal taking the final point. Chase Fernandez ahead of Alexander Berg, Nordis Gafour, Fu Yuhao and Wang Yujie. Sadly, a retirement for the Swedish driver Gustav Jonsson, putting him out of contention for the championship, despite coming into the weekend only 3 points behind Kai Dadianani. Emily Cotti did manage to win in the battle between her and Jia Zhenbin. Andy Law 18th, and Seth Gilmore not starting. He will not start the second race either, sadly. Gustav Jonsson retiring with a puncture. So a fabulous way to kickstart these two races, the season finale of the Formula Trophy United Arab Emirates, and a great conclusion to the season for these young drivers. But it's the beginning of something very special indeed for Sebastian Weldon. The American driver will grace the podium on the top step, and the fans here in the United Arab Emirates will hear the Star-Spangled Banner. Not for the first time, but with this young man behind the wheel, it probably won't be the last either. Possibly not even the last tonight. So there's going to be a couple of hours gap between the second and first races, but you will still get to see that race in full live on this particular channel. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and you will not miss the start of that race. That will be taking place just after 9 o'clock local time here. It will be the last race on our calendar, Bill, as part of the support gap race for the Lenovo Golf 12 Hours, which of course is taking place tomorrow. Sports car race that takes place in 2 parts, interestingly enough. But the battles have been truly fantastic and truly sensational. We are very excited indeed to grace our drivers to the podium. And it will be wonderful to witness them out on the rostrum. But our 3 drivers, provisional, of course, though the result is, it is fantastic to see. Kai Dadianani, 3rd position, 2nd place for Chi Zhenru, and 1st position for Sebastian Weldon. The first of their podium ceremonies. Obviously, the results are provisional up to this point, but it is such a fabulous result for the 3 drivers here. 3rd position for Kai Dadianani, 2nd for Chi Zhenru, but on the top step of the podium for the United States and for the Mumbai Falcons racing team, it will be Sebastian Weldon.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now having the podium ceremony for the 2024 Formula Trophy UAE Round 3 Race 1. For the top 3 drivers, congratulations. But of course now we bring out our top 3. Ladies second position from car number 28 from Mumbai Falcons Racing Limited. Please welcome Ji Jen-Roo. And now, our winner, car number 98 from Mumbai Falcons Racing Limited. Please welcome Sebastian Weldon. And also, before we hand over the trophies, and now the winner of the Rookie Cup, it is, of course, car number 28, who's on the second step of the podium, from Mumbai Falcons Racing Limited, Ji Jen-Roo. And now, to present our trophies, we invite Stephen Umfreville, the Commercial Executive Director at IFARA, here to present our 3 trophies, or better yet, 4 trophies, to our winning drivers. First of all, we invite him to hand over the 3rd place trophy to the number 8 of Evans GP, Kai Dariani. We invite him back to present the 2nd place trophy in round 3, race 1, to Ji Jen-Roo. And last but not least, the winner's trophy in race number 1 this weekend, to Sebastian Weldon. And of course, the winner of the Rookie Cup. Once again, we'll invite Stephen to present that trophy to Ji Jen-Roo. And now we'll have a group photo together with Stephen, of course, as well. And then as soon as the group photo is complete, it is time to break out the champagne for this epic race 1 here of round 3. We, of course, will be back later on this evening.